Trump. You have to suck up to Trump supporters. They weren't saying that. And eventually, after about 6 months of auditioning for this, I got the job as a not late night, but 8 to 11 p.m. talk show host on a station in Baltimore, a big station in Baltimore. So it was something I'd never done before. But again, it was, finally I was back to a place that was equivalent of where I was before, just by a lot of luck, but a lot of work too. But, the mentally speaking, it still grates on you. And, I was in and out of doctors, and I was on medication. I've been on medication for depression since I was, I think, 12 or 13 years old. So it's been a long time. And it was before the big depression, boomlet where everybody started realizing they were depressed and had anxiety. It predates that. But, you add that into what I was having to deal with. And sometimes it seems like, self-medicating with alcohol is not a bad idea at the time. And I in a lot of ways I say, alcohol really messed up my life, but in a lot of ways I don't know what I would have been able to do without it. So that's sort of the story. That's where I'm coming from. I'm sorry if it was a little bit broken up into pieces. I don't tell it that often because I think people wouldn't understand. But, like I said, and like you said, Trump had a really big impact on how a lot of Americans view their country and view their fellow Americans, and it wasn't in a good way for a lot of people.
First
so
off,
that's it.
And it's to each their own, and I don't want to get into politics here, or which side. I don't, that's not what it's about. However, I do hear a lot of times that people on Facebook or on other platforms, when they speak their political view, they get unfriended or they lose friends, or that it's such a conflict just because of back and forth.
It's going on a lot now. There are a lot of people who won't associate with you if you don't have the same political views as they do. They're the bases of the two parties. Both parties have this problem. There's the super progressives, the Bernie Sanders types, and then there's the MAGA types, the, deep Trump supporters, and a lot of them just won't associate with you. They don't just view you as their political opponents. They view you as being evil. They view you as being something other than, a good American, a loyal American. And, as a result, there are people that don't talk to me anymore because of what I did in those days. It's funny because I didn't get along with liberals very well before Trump came along. Now there are a lot of conservatives I don't get along with, and the liberals have a newfound respect for me. So, but this is something that's happening in our country, and it's happening all over the place. It is the vilification of the other side. And, Trump has played into this. Trump vilifies his opponents all the time. And he does so in order to stoke the fires of his base. And they love it. But in the end, what it's really doing to America is tearing us apart and, making us hate each other even more. And, now we're stuck in this impeachment inquiry, and the fires just keep being stoked and stoked and stoked. And at this point, I think it's driving a lot of Americans crazy. I really do. And not, psychologically, medically crazy, but I think it's really starting to play on people's nerves. I don't believe the majority of Americans like where we are right now in terms of our national politics and our national identity. And I think that would be the case, maybe, probably even be the case if Hillary Clinton had won in 2016. I think that there's a real dissatisfaction out there with the type of country that we're becoming, with the type of politics and the political gamesmanship that we have, because everybody's in a tribe. Everybody's in a tribe, and whatever the tribe does is what's right, and whatever, even if it's not right, whatever the tribe does is considered right, and everybody goes along with it, and whatever the other tribe does, they go along with too. So that's kind of where we are, and I think it's a sad state of affairs for politics. And on my show on WBAL, and that's in Baltimore, there's an app if you want to take a listen to my show at some time. We talk a lot about that, and we talk about ways that we can fix it.
Just remember, this is all coming from your opinion, but it's how it's affected you, and it's not in a very good way either. But it sounds like you've come out of it. It's time for our break, and then I know that Ed wants to say something too. But let's just take our break and hold on, Dan. We'll be right back in just a moment. Stay tuned.
You're listening to Moments of Clarity with Tiffany Werner. We welcome your input at 866-826-1340. Tiffany will be right back after this.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Are you looking to expand your knowledge in the mental health field and earn CEU credits at the same time? DID Discovering Hope is having their annual Creating Resilience Conference on November 15th and 16th, and it's open to all trauma survivors and therapists. 2 days of educational workshops will be led by internationally respected experts, including keynote speaker Dr. Colin A. Ross. For mental health professionals, 11 hours of CEUs are available. For more information or to register, visit diddiscoveringhope.org. Once again, that's diddiscoveringhope.org.
Hi, this is Tiffany Werner, your host of Moments of Clarity. Living with a mental health disorder is not easy. If you or someone you know are struggling with this, please know it's so important to seek treatment, and I'm here to help. Please visit the website at momentsofclaritywithtiffany.com to view blog posts and resources on this site to help educate and inspire you to take action, because there's no shame in seeking help for mental health. While you're there, please take a few seconds to sign up for my email list. You'll get some extremely valuable educational and entertaining content that can be sent right to your inbox each week. Plus, you'll also get instant and free access to my guide on managing your anxiety. You can also follow me on Twitter at MOC with Tiffany and at Facebook at Tiffany Werner. And once again, the website is momentsofclaritywithtiffany.com. Thank you so much for your support and for listening to your show, because change can only come when we stand together as one.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
We are back to Moments of Clarity with Tiffany Werner. To join in the discussion, call 866-826-1340. Now, here's Tiffany Werner.
Hi, welcome back. And if you're just tuning in, this is Moments of Clarity. I'm Tiffany Werner. I'm a licensed mental health counselor, and I'm your host. And today what we're talking about is how the media can affect certain people, especially what's going on in the media today, the news, politics. It's not a political show. It's how it affected my guest. And he was in the weeds with it, so to speak, where he's up in D.C., and it affected his job. It led him into alcoholism and broke up his soon-to-be engagement and from a girlfriend, and it really basically affected his life. And we're talking about the mental health part of how this happens. And I want to welcome back to the show Dan Joseph. You there?
I'm here.
Good.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Welcome back. And before we went to break, I know that my producer Ed wants to say something, and please keep political views off of this.
Oh, hey, Dan.
How you doing?
Hey, not to be cruel, but when you started out, you reminded me of an old Bill Murray movie, Stripes, when you said, in the same day I lost my job, my car, my house, my girlfriend. But I thought you were going to break out.
I mean,
that's a hard life.
It didn't all happen in the same day to me. It happened over a period of time, but it was pretty bad. I mean, it still really kind of rocked my world, you know?
Yeah, I mean, the part about the girlfriend, do you lose your job because she was a Trump fan? No. I mean, your relationship.
She hated Trump too. No, she hated Trump too, but it was other things. It was, the drinking.
Okay.
It was the fact that I just couldn't find work no matter what I did, and it was me. It was my fault. It wasn't her.
Now,
but that's the kind of thing that happens to relationships sometimes. One of the people undergoes such a wild and transformation in their lives that the other person can't deal with it and live theirs. So it went badly for quite a while until we finally decided to break it off.
How long had you been in radio before this fell apart?
I hadn't. I'd been a guest on radio.
Okay.
But I'd never actually hosted a radio show before. So I've been doing this now for about a year.
Okay.
It's still very difficult. It's a very difficult life. It's a very difficult job to have a radio show for 3 hours a night.
Yeah.
And 8 to 11 p.m. You don't get a lot of callers. You don't get a lot of texters. So it's really just you kind of talking, and it's hard. It's very difficult, but I'm getting used to it now, and I get better at it every day.
I've been in that situation where you basically have to do your show and a caller would be like a luxury, or
Yeah, exactly.
Do you remember when I used to say, we actually have a caller?
That's like extra money at the end of the month. But
yeah, exactly. No, it's true. You don't have to talk for a good 2 or 3 minutes.
Right.
Nice.
That's why I have guests.
I can tell you that in this business, I mean, I've been in this business 20 years, and I worked for corporate. I've worked for mom and pop, which is kind of where I'm at now. But I can tell you that this is a business where you need to either adapt, to change with it. And I'm not talking about political, because you could be working at a rock and roll station and hate country. And then one day these guys come in and say, here's the new song list. We're going country. And either you can take it or you can leave it. You don't have a choice. And either they'll keep you, or they'll say, here's your paycheck, and we've given you so much severance, and you're out the door. And I've seen it.
Wow.
And it's
I'm not looking forward to that.
No, but I mean, that's the nature of this job. I mean, unless you're so big that they can't get rid of you and they can't live without you, or can't be on without you, that every day, not every day, but there's certain times if you have a contract, when your contract comes up, you got to worry about that. But I mean, now the political part, I mean, I'm not saying change your view, but was there maybe another station you could go to that was to the liking of your format, and you just didn't want to move there?
You're talking about MRC. You're talking about the days when before I left because of Trump. No, what it is in the policy world, and I'm not talking about the radio world, because my station is relatively moderate. We're not too far to the right. We're not too pro-Trump. We're not too anti-Trump. What happened is that you get blacklisted in Washington, D.C. if you're not talking about the right things at the right times.
I can understand that. I can understand that.
Yeah, and my position on Trump was very, very firm. And the other, groups that I interviewed with, like the Daily Caller I had an interview with, and there were some other stations, One American News I had an interview with, they were going in a direction that was going to be loyal to the president. They were going to be very, very pro-Trump for the next 4 years. And I just told them, no, I'm too much of an independent thinker. I cannot do that. I cannot sacrifice, and I will not sacrifice my personal values for a job. And that's what I did. And it cost me. I mean, it cost me a lot. But, I would say I have to do it the same way if I had to do it again.
And the other part, too, is, and I'm done with it, but the other part where you said that you kind of lost some friends because of your views and stuff like that. I just have the thing. I mean, I have my views. I have a sister that lives in Baltimore with my dad, and she is way different than I am. And my dad said, listen, when you come to visit, we just don't talk politics. It just doesn't. It's like religion. People are going to have their different ways. And I just told Tiffany this story the other day that I met this nice woman at a place, got her number. We started talking on the phone, talking about going on a date, and blah, blah, blah. And I said, the one thing, I tend to stay away from for the ground rules is I just don't talk politics, because some people can be this way and some people that way. And she said, oh, I know exactly what you meant. And my God, and she just went off for 45 minutes on the phone. I told Tiffany I actually had to fake getting in an accident to get her off the phone. I mean, that's
that's pretty bad.
But somebody that's that passionate.
I'm sure these issues arise very frequently where you guys are in Clearwater. Talking about religion and talking about political stuff can be very, very sensitive to people, and they're, it plays such a big role in some people's lives that you can't separate it. Like the girl you were talking to, I think you can't separate it. It becomes part of them. It becomes part of who they are. And we're in a time right now where politics, whether you're on the far left or the far right, is a part of who a lot of people are. It really defines them. It is who, it's an integral part of their existence. And, you see these Trump rallies. You see what happens. Last night there was a Trump rally in Minnesota, and there were basically, massive protests outside. People were burning MAGA hats. They were throwing stuff at cops. It's getting very, very personal, and it's getting a little bit scary. And I have to say, I feel like Trump sort of eggs it on at times, and I feel like he's part of the reason why people are getting more upset than they have been about this in quite some time. But I think it's part of his game, and I don't see it stopping anytime soon until either there's a new president, and maybe not even then will it stop. Maybe we're just in this pattern. It's so ridiculous because things are really good in this country right now. We're not at war. We have a good economy. But people are more upset than they've ever been before. People are more stressed out than they've ever been before. And it doesn't really make much